For years, coffee has been praised as the magical elixir of productivity. It's on every desk, in every meeting, at every corner cafe. But as a doctor who spent decades studying the intricate systems of the human body, I've come to see coffee not as a friend, but as a silent disruptor. The truth, hidden beneath marketing campaigns and caffeine cravings, is far more serious than most realize. You may think coffee gives you energy, but in reality, it's robbing your body of vitality. It's trading long-term wellness for short-term stimulation. And the cost is high. Today, I want to walk you through what I consider one of the most underestimated health threats of our time: the regular consumption of coffee, especially in dehydrated, stressed, or nutrient-deficient bodies. I've seen patients whose chronic fatigue, irregular heartbeat, insomnia, anxiety, digestive distress, and even cognitive fog had one thing in common: coffee. Not because of single cup, but because of what repeated daily caffeine consumption does to a human system already under strain. Coffee and dehydration, the invisible drain. Let's start with the first and most immediate danger: dehydration. Most people are mildly dehydrated and they don't even know it. What is worse? They're compounding that dehydration every morning by reaching for a cup of coffee. Coffee is a diuretic. It forces your body to excrete more water than it takes in. Every time you drink it, you're increasing urination, flushing out critical fluids, and losing essential minerals like magnesium, calcium, and potassium. This ice and tea theory. It has basic physiology. For every cup of coffee consumed, Dr. Barbara O'Neill explains, you need at least 2 glasses of water to counterbalance the water loss. Yet very few coffee drinkers do this. And so dehydration becomes chronic, quiet, insidious. I had a patient named Thomas, a 37-year-old executive, complaining of daily headaches, fatigue, and constipation. He thought it was just stress. But when we measured his hydration levels and mineral balance, they were severely depleted. The culprit? 4 cups of coffee a day. No water. Just coffee. We replaced his morning coffee with warm lemon water and magnesium-rich foods. Within 2 weeks, his symptoms faded. That's not a miracle. That's what happens when you stop draining the body and start nourishing it. Coffee's effect on your heart. The magnesium link. Magnesium is one of the most vital minerals for human health, especially for the heart. It helps regulate heartbeat. It balances blood pressure. It keeps the muscles relaxed. But coffee depletes it fast. When magnesium is low, the heart muscle becomes tense. The beat becomes irregular. Blood pressure creeps up. Anxiety follows. Many people with heart palpitations or high blood pressure are simply magnesium deficient, and their daily coffee habit is making it worse. A woman named Elaine came to me after a scare. Her doctor suspected arrhythmia. She was terrified. We ran tests. Her magnesium levels were critically low. We removed coffee. We introduced Celtic sea salt, leafy greens, and oral magnesium. Within a month, her heart stabilized. This is a common pattern. Coffee pulls magnesium out. The body responds with stress. The heart takes the hit. It's not caffeine alone, it's the body's overall depletion. Chapter 2. Brain fog, anxiety, and the coffee crash. Let's talk about the brain. Your command center. Your engine of thought, focus, and emotion. And what coffee might really be doing to it. Many people drink coffee to feel sharp, to focus, to boost energy. But what if I told you that very same coffee could be the reason your brain is sluggish, anxious, and foggy? It starts with dehydration. You see, the brain is made up of about 75% water. Every signal, every memory, every emotion depends on hydration. But coffee? It drains the water from your system, and with it the very fluid your brain needs to function. That dehydration reduces blood flow to the brain. Less oxygen, fewer nutrients, slower thinking, weaker focus, and the creeping cloud of brain fog. Ever had trouble concentrating after your second or third cup? You're not imagining it. The caffeine anxiety connection. Now, let's go deeper. Coffee doesn't just affect your hydration. It directly alters your brain chemistry. Caffeine stimulates the release of cortisol and adrenaline, your body's primary stress hormones. In small doses, you feel alert. But over time, this stimulation turns to stimulation overload. You feel jittery, restless, anxious. Some describe it as panic in disguise, a racing mind, shaky hands, a heart that won't slow down. And then comes the crash. When caffeine wears off, your cortisol drops suddenly. You feel tired, depressed, emotionally flat. So what do most people do? They reach for another cup, and the cycle continues. Stimulation, crash, stimulation, crash. This roller coaster puts tremendous stress on your adrenal glands. And over time, that leads to adrenal fatigue. I've seen this in busy mothers, in overworked CEOs, even in college students pulling all-nighters. They all share one thing: burnout, despite drinking more coffee than ever. A real story, the unstoppable startup founder. I once treated a 29-year-old startup founder. Let's call him Jake. Jake prided himself on hustle. 6 cups of coffee a day. No breaks. No naps. No water. He lived off caffeine. Until one day, he couldn't get out of bed. Severe fatigue. Brain fog. Anxiety attacks. His body was fried. His nervous system overloaded. His brain dehydrated and inflamed. We detoxed him from caffeine, rehydrated him slowly, rebuilt his minerals, and added healthy fats to restore his brain structure. 6 weeks later, he was clearer, calmer, and sharper without coffee. Dehydration, serotonin, and your mood. Here's something most people don't know. Mood is water dependent. Neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine require a hydrated brain to function. When you're dehydrated from coffee or otherwise, these chemical messengers go haywire. That's why dehydration often causes depression, mood swings, irritability, lack of motivation. It's not just life. It's brain chemistry disrupted by coffee. Remember, your brain isn't wired for chemical roller coasters. It's wired for balance. Caffeine throws that balance off, especially when your system is already fragile. The mental trap. Mistaking thirst for craving. Now here's the kicker. Most people who think they need coffee are actually just dehydrated. Thirst can feel like tiredness, like hunger, like distraction, and coffee tricks the brain into thinking it's a solution. But it is not. Instead of quenching the body, it drains it further, and the real need water gets ignored again. It's a cycle I call hydration denial, and it's everywhere. So what's the answer? When you feel tired, drink water first. When your mind is cloudy, pause. Breathe. Hydrate. Your brain will thank you. Your mood will stabilize. And the fog will lift without another drop. Chapter 4. Coffee, cortisol, and emotional burnout. Let's talk about your hormones. Because coffee doesn't just act on your brain. It hijacks your entire endocrine system. The moment caffeine enters your bloodstream, your adrenal glands are signaled. They release cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. At first, it feels like energy. You re-alert, motivated, ready to go. But underneath, your body is entering survival mode. What is cortisol and why should you care? Cortisol is meant to help us respond to danger, to run, to fight, to survive a crisis. But when it's triggered every morning by coffee, your body begins to live in a constant state of alarm. This leads to anxiety, irritability, panic, ATTCKS mood swings, and eventually emotional exhaustion. You weren't meant to run on stress. You were meant to run on rhythm. And coffee disrupts that rhythm. The caffeine trap. Fake energy, real crash. After the cortisol spike wears off, your energy drops sharply. You feel tired, mentally cloudy, maybe even sad. That's not just life. That's hormonal backlash. So what do people do? They reach for more coffee. The cycle begins again. And the adrenal glands, they suffer. Over time, they wear out. This is what's known as adrenal fatigue. In female, it's common, and it's deeply misunderstood. The hidden link between coffee and emotional health. Caffeine doesn't only spike cortisol. It also disrupts the production of serotonin and dopamine, the key neurotransmitters that regulate your mood. When you're chronically dehydrated, overstimulated, and underslept, your brain chemistry becomes chaotic. And coffee is often the spark behind that chaos. I've treated young professionals with burnout, mothers with postpartum anxiety made worse by caffeine, even teenagers with mood instability, all addicted to energy drinks and coffee. Once we removed caffeine, supported their adrenals, and rebalanced their nutrition, emotional clarity returned. How coffee affects your blood sugar and why that matters. Here's something few people realize. Coffee, even without sugar, spikes your blood glucose. It causes your liver to dump sugar into the bloodstream in response to the cortisol surge. This is dangerous for 2 reasons. First, it forces your pancreas to release insulin quickly, which over time leads to insulin resistance. Second, the sudden spike is always followed by a crash. You feel shaky, moody, craving carbs, exhausted. So what do you reach for next? More caffeine, more sugar, more stimulation. And the roller coaster continues. Caffeine, immunity, and chronic inflammation. There's another system coffee quietly wears down, your immune system. You see, chronic stress from caffeine suppresses immune function. It raises inflammation, and it slows down the body's natural healing process. If you're always catching colds, feeling run down, or struggling to recover from small illnesses, your coffee habit might be weakening your defense system. Your immunity isn't just about supplements. It's about how much stress your body has to fight. And caffeine adds stress, not strength. What happens when you stop the cycle? I once worked with a woman named Sarah. She was 48, worked in HR, always tired, always wired. She drank 5 cups a day just to feel normal. She had anxiety, fatigue, bloating, and sugar cravings. We removed coffee. It was hard. She had withdrawal symptoms. But we supported her adrenals with B vitamins, her gut with soothing herbs, and her hydration with electrolytes and clean water. 3 weeks later, her anxiety dropped. Her sleep improved. She smiled more. She didn't need coffee anymore. That is what happens when the body is allowed to reset. Final thought for this chapter. Caffeine is not the villain, but it's not neutral either. Used occasionally in a balanced body, it can be tolerated. But used daily in a stressed, inflamed, mineral-deficient system, it becomes a slow poison. If your emotions feel unstable, if your energy fluctuates wildly, if your focus fades and you're constantly craving a cup, it's time to look deeper and give your body the peace it's been asking for. Chapter 5. Coffee, Kidney Damage and Nerve Disruption. So far, we've explored how coffee affects your heart, your gut, your hormones, and your emotional health. But now, we need to talk about the organs that quietly keep you alive, your kidneys. They filter your blood. They remove toxins. They balance your body's fluids. And they regulate essential electrolytes like sodium and potassium. But coffee? It disrupts every one of those delicate processes. The kidney burden of daily coffee. Every time you drink coffee, you stimulate more urine production. Why? Because caffeine is a diuretic. It forces the kidneys to flush out water, even when the body still needs it. This results in dehydration. And when you're chronically dehydrated, your kidneys struggle. They have to work harder to filter out toxins with less fluid available. This concentrated waste product can damage kidney tissues over time, and it can lead to something much worse: kidney stones. Coffee and kidney stones. A painful reality. Kidney stones are formed when minerals like calcium, oxalate, or uric acid crystallize inside your kidneys. Coffee increases this risk in 2 major ways. 1. It dehydrates, making your urine more concentrated. 2. It leaches minerals including calcium and magnesium. When your urine is dense and your mineral balance is off, the perfect environment for stone formation is created. I've had patients end up in the ER with crippling pain, only to learn that their daily boost was slowly damaging their kidneys. One man, in his mid-40s, a marathon runner, no alcohol, no junk food, the 5 espressos a day. He had 3 kidney stone episodes in 2 years. When we replaced his coffee with electrolyte-rich herbal hydration, the problem never returned. Electrolyte imbalance. The silent disruptor. Electrolytes aren't just for athletes. They regulate every heartbeat, every nerve impulse, and every muscle contraction. Coffee causes the loss of 2 critical ones: magnesium and potassium. This can lead to irregular heartbeats, muscle cramps, dizziness, weakness, and even fainting. People think they're just tired or overworked. But in many cases, they're simply depleted from years of coffee overconsumption. Your nervous system on coffee. Now let's talk about nerves. Literally, your nervous system is electrical. It relies on water and minerals to conduct signals between your brain and body. But with chronic caffeine use, those signals become erratic. Your nerves fire too quickly. You feel jittery, on edge, overstimulated. Then, the crash. When electrolyte levels drop, signals slow down. You feel drained, emotionally flat, unable to think clearly. This is what I call caffeine-induced neurological chaos. And it's far more common than people realize. A real case. The healthy gym guy I once worked with, a 33-year-old personal trainer. He was lean, fit, and strong, but he couldn't sleep. His hands would shake. His heartbeat skipped. He had moments of mental fog in the middle of client sessions. He drank 4 pre-workouts a day and a black coffee after lunch. All clean, he thought. No sugar, no junk. But his electrolyte panel? Devastated. Magnesium, low. Potassium, dangerously low. Cortisol sky high. We detoxed him slowly, focused on adrenal repair, hydration, and calming herbs. 3 weeks in, he was sleeping like a baby. focused, stronger, clearer than ever. What about your kidneys? Have you noticed the signs? If you're drinking coffee daily and you notice these symptoms, pay attention. Dark urine, frequent urination, lower back pain, fatigue, muscle cramps, or dizziness after workouts. These are not random. They're signs that your kidneys are overworked and undersupported. And coffee may be the hidden trigger. How to support your kidneys naturally. Step 1. Reduce or eliminate caffeine at least for a few weeks. Give your kidneys time to restore balance. Step 2. Hydrate wisely, not just with water but with electrolyte-rich fluids. Try coconut water, Celtic salt in warm water, or herbal teas that support kidney function like nettle or dandelion root. Step 3. Replenish minerals. Eat more leafy greens, avocados, bananas, seeds, and sea salt. Your kidneys don't need another double espresso. Final words for Chapter 5. Your kidneys are the unsung heroes of your health. And coffee, for all its reputation, adds stress, not support. If you're tired of feeling tired, if you crave clarity, if you want your nervous system to feel calm again, it may be time to take your last sip, at least for now. Chapter 6. Coffee's silent assault on the brain. We've talked about the heart. We've talked about the gut. We've talked about hormones, kidneys, and nerves. But now we turn to the most precious organ of all, your brain. You rely on it for everything. Every memory, every decision, every emotion. And yet, every day, millions flood their brains with a substance that may be quietly eroding its sharpness. Coffee. Brain fog isn't just busy life. Let's start with something many people feel, but few understand. Brain fog. It's that cloudiness, that inability to focus. The moments when words don't come easily. The forgotten tasks. The lost train of thought. Most people blame stress, or age, or too much screen time. But in truth, chronic caffeine consumption is often the culprit. Here's why. Coffee disrupts blood flow to the brain. Caffeine causes vasoconstriction. It narrows your blood vessels. In the brain, that means less oxygen, less glucose, less clarity. When your brain cells are undernourished, they can't fire effectively. You may feel awake, but you're not thinking clearly. And over time, this reduced blood flow takes a toll. The myth of mental boost. Yes, coffee makes you feel more alert. But it's artificial. It's not true clarity. It has a stress response. It's like whipping a tired horse. It moves, but it's not stronger, just forced. And once the effect wears off, your brain slows down even more. That's when you crash and crave another hit. This cycle stimulate, crash, repeat is exhausting your brain, not energizing it. Memory loss and long-term decline. New research suggests something even more alarming. Long-term caffeine use may be linked to memory impairment. When cortisol is constantly elevated, as it is in chronic coffee drinkers, it disrupts the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory formation. You might forget things more often, struggle with names, lose your mental edge. In some cases, this stress load may even accelerate cognitive decline, especially when combined with dehydration and poor sleep. Two other effects of daily coffee. The sleep-brain connection. Sleep is when your brain heals. It detoxifies. It stores memories. It resets chemical balance. But caffeine, even consumed early in the day, can reduce both the quality and depth of sleep. That means less REM, less memory processing, less emotional stability. Over time, this adds up to poor focus, mood swings, anxiety, depression, and even early signs of dementia. And the worst part? People drink more coffee to wake up from poor sleep, making the cycle worse. A true story. The executive with a fading mind. I had a patient named Greg. He was sharp, successful, respected. But over the last year, he began to lose his edge, forgetting meetings, struggling with words, blanking out mid-sentence. Doctor said it was just aging. But I looked deeper. Greg was drinking 6 cups of coffee a day. Always on, always wired. We replaced coffee with matcha, added omega-6, restored hydration, and built a sleep routine. 3 months later, his memory came back. He felt like himself again. Sometimes it's not age. It's overload. Coffee and neurotransmitters, a delicate balance. Your brain relies on a symphony of chemicals. Serotonin, dopamine, GABA, acetylcholine, lysosylcholine. These regulate mood, attention, learning, calmness. But coffee throws off this harmony. It spikes dopamine temporarily like a drug and then crashes it. It blocks adenosine, which your brain uses to signal rest. It raises cortisol, which damages serotonin over time. The result? Mood swings, poor concentration, impatience, mental fatigue. You may feel like you're always on edge, but that's not who you are. That's your brain disrupted. Is there a way back? Yes, absolutely. The brain is remarkably resilient, but it needs support, not stress. To recover from coffee damage, remove caffeine, slowly hydrate deeply, sleep with consistency, rebuild with nutrients, omega-3s, magnesium, choline, use herbs like ashwagandha, bacopa, and lion's mane. In just a few weeks, sharper, calmer. You'll begin to notice something profound. True energy doesn't feel rushed. It feels clear. Final thought for Chapter 6. Your mind is not meant to run on coffee. It's meant to run on rhythm, on rest, on real nourishment. So if you've been forgetting things, feeling foggy, anxious, or like you've lost a piece of yourself, don't ignore it. Don't write it off as normal. Maybe, just maybe, it's your brain asking for peace. And all you have to do is listen. Chapter 7. Breaking free from coffee, a path to clarity. Now that you know what coffee really does to your body, you may feel overwhelmed. You might be thinking, but I've been drinking coffee for years. Can I really quit? What will I do without it? Let me assure you, you can. And you don't have to suffer in the process. This chapter is about freedom. Freedom from dependency, from fatigue, from fog, from the endless roller coaster of caffeine highs and crashes. Step 1. Don't quit cold turkey. Going cold turkey often leads to withdrawal, headaches, irritability, fatigue, and that makes people run right back to their coffee cup. Instead, do this. Reduce your intake gradually. If you drink 3 cups a day, cut to 2 for 1 week, then 1. Then switch to decaf or herbal alternatives. Let your body adapt. Let your nervous system reset gently. Step 2. Hydrate deeply, intentionally. The first thing your body needs when leaving coffee behind is water. But not just plain water. Your cells need minerals too. Try this. A pinch of Celtic sea salt in warm water every morning, coconut water with a splash of lime, herbal teas like hibiscus, nettle, or rooibos. These nourish your adrenals. They rehydrate your brain. And they stop cravings before they start. Step 3. Restore with nutrition. Coffee depletes. So you must rebuild. Focus on foods rich in magnesium, dark leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, avocado, potassium, bananas, sweet potatoes, coconut water, omega-3s, walnuts, chia seeds, fatty fish, B vitamins, eggs, legumes, nutritional yeast, antioxidants, berries, turmeric, green veggies. These nutrients repair damage. They support your brain, heart, nerves, and gut. They help you feel strong without stimulants. Step 4. Replace the ritual, not just the drink. For many people, coffee is more than caffeine. It's a ritual, it's emotional, it's comfort. So replace the experience, not just the chemical. Try a new morning rhythm. Warm herbal tonic in a beautiful mug. Journaling for 5 minutes. Breathing deeply while sitting in sunlight. Taking a short walk outdoors before starting work. These actions ground you. They set your day up right. And they nourish your nervous system in ways coffee never could. Step 5. Use natural alternatives if needed. Still need a little boost? Here are safe, gentle options. Matcha tea. Steady energy without the crash. Guayusa or yerba mate. Plant-based focus enhancers. Chicory root coffee. Rich, bitter, caffeine-free. Golden milk. Turmeric, cinnamon, and plant milk to soothe and energize. Lion's mane mushroom supports cognition without stimulation. These give your brain what it craves without robbing your body in return. A real transformation, from dependence to power. One of my favorite stories is about Dana, a 41-year-old mother of 3. She lived on caffeine. It was her fuel for years. But she was exhausted, anxious, sleep-deprived, and felt like she was just surviving. We worked together to phase out coffee, rebuild her minerals, and reset her mornings. 6 weeks in, she said something I'll never forget. I didn't realize how much noise coffee was creating in my body, until it was gone. Now I feel peace. Energy without tension. Calm without crashing. That's the power of letting go. What awaits you on the other side? When you step away from caffeine, you begin to rediscover something beautiful. Energy that's steady, focused, that is calm, sleep, that deep mood, that's stable, a body that feels light. a brain that finally works with you, not against you, and perhaps most importantly, you feel in control again. Not ruled by a craving, not chasing a fix, but grounded, clear, and alive. Final thought for Chapter 7. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to quit overnight. But you can begin today. With 1 cup less. With 1 deeper breath. With 1 sip of something healing. Your body has always known how to heal. You just have to stop interrupting it. Choose freedom. Choose clarity. Choose you. Chapter 8. The truth beyond the cup. You've come this far, and that says something powerful about you. You're not afraid to question habits. You're not afraid to seek truth. You're not afraid to choose health even when the world chooses convenience. Because the truth is, coffee was never the enemy. But silence was. Silence about the headaches, the anxiety, the fatigue you kept blaming on age, the sleep you lost, the clarity you forgot, the heartbeat you ignored. You thought it was just you, but maybe it was your body trying to speak. And now, you've started listening. You deserve more than a quick fix. We live in a world obsessed with stimulation. Always on, always rushing, always caffeinated. But your body was designed for rhythm, stillness, clarity, real energy without side effects. You deserve mornings that feel peaceful, not panicked. You deserve energy that flows naturally, not forced with a cup. And most of all, you deserve to trust your body again. Health doesn't begin with a pill. It begins with a choice. A choice to slow down, to nourish, to hydrate, to restore. This is your moment, not to give something up, but to get your life back, to feel present in your skin, to think clearly, to love your mornings again. You've already taken the first step, awareness. Now take the next alignment. Real change doesn't begin in the cup, it begins in the mind. Ask yourself, what are you really seeking in that first cup? Is it energy, focus, relief, escape? What if you could create those things from within? Because you can. I've seen it. With my patients. With myself. People who never believed they could live without coffee. Become the most vibrant, awake, clear-minded versions of themselves. And they never want to go back.